This is the tale of two brothers, two bronzed Aussies who live for surf lifesaving. One of them is a champion athlete. The other one, well, he lives in his brother's shadow. And together, they run an illegal drug business, a $1 million ecstasy ring. You're about to see actual police footage of Olympic kayaker Nathan Baggaley and his younger brother Drew. Actual evidence of their drug dealing. All recorded while they had no idea that their little secret was about to be blown wide open. It's 2004, and 29-year-old Nathan Baggaley is an Olympic hero, a dual silver medalist.
Nathan was exceptional. He's the world champion.
World champion, superstar. He seemed to do everything right. Nathan lived in Byron Bay on the New South Wales north coast, a tight-knit community where the locals know everyone. And everyone knew the Baggaley brothers. Nathan and his brother Drew, 7 years his junior. At 22, Drew is making it at sports local level, playing first-grade football for Ballina. But he never quite fills the big sports shoes of his older brother. In 2005, just a year after his Olympic glory, Nathan Baggaley made headlines for the wrong reasons.
Olympic medal-winning kayaker Nathan Baggaley has been banned from competing for 15 months.
Baggaley tested positive to 2 anabolic steroids.
Nathan's excuse for how the steroids stanozolol ended up in his system? It was his brother Drew's, and he drank from his orange juice.
All I can say between you and me is I don't take drugs, I've never taken drugs.
But it didn't wash with sports governing bodies, and Nathan was suspended from competition.
I tend to believe him about the steroids allegation. I don't tend to believe him about anything else, but I do tend to believe him about that.
Over the next few months, persistent rumours begin to emerge about Nathan and Drew Baggaley.
There were certainly whispers within the community, particularly in the surf club community. It was generally reasonably well known that Nathan is or may be involved in the distribution of ecstasy.
Ecstasy, a drug taken in a tablet that has been known to kill. And just 6 months after the steroid charge, in February 2007, Nathan and another associate were caught with it.
Disgraced former Olympic kayaker Nathan Baggaley is facing drug charges on the Gold Coast.
It's alleged the 31-year-old Olympian was found with more than 700 ecstasy tablets.
I picked Nathan up for the watch house. I thought he was smarter than that. I told him, I said, mate, they're going to be watching you forever. And he told me, I know.
His surf club coach was spot on. The associate, who was with Nathan at the time, pleaded guilty to possessing a dangerous drug and was sentenced to jail for 2.5 years. The charges against Nathan were dropped, but police weren't finished with Nathan. They still had their suspicions. In July 2007, Strike Force Alawa begins, a joint operation between the New South Wales Drug Squad and Tweed Byron Local Area Command to target the suspected dealing of the Baggaley brothers.
We started listening to their phones and commencing surveillance upon them.
This is the actual police footage and audio.
Yeah, copy, mate. Our bloke's just been on the move.
Police are also following Drew Baggaley, Nathan's younger brother.
He's run over to the driver's side.
This is some of the early police surveillance of Drew Baggaley.
Okay, he's continuing through the car park. We've got Drew on the mobile,
Police discover that mobile is one of 12. Yes, 12 different mobiles that Drew has on rotation. So every time he takes or makes a phone call, police are listening.
I guess their strategy is that the police haven't got all our phone numbers, so they couldn't possibly be listening to all our phones. Sometimes we are.
The phone tap pays off. 2 months into the investigation, and police discover Drew is flying from Queensland to Sydney every week. The question is, why?
We received information that Drew was going to come out to Sydney to pick up some ecstasy tablets, and we're thinking it was around the 15,000 tablet mark.
It's the morning of Drew's flight, and this is the actual police footage taken by detectives as they secretly tail Drew's vehicle. He gets out of the car and hops on a plane bound for Sydney, where a second team of detectives will also be waiting.
We set up a surveillance operation in Sydney at the domestic airport. On the day I was actually inside the terminal, so I followed him down to the luggage carousel where he picked up a bag. He got into a cab.
Now in Sydney, police followed Drew to a local smash repair shop.
He met up with a number of people that we knew were drug suppliers.
Just tell everyone I've got video. I'm getting video of them now. They're at the car. They're at the car.
That's Drew with the cap on the left, being secretly filmed by police. You are watching a turning point in the investigation. Not only do police have footage of Drew, but anyone else they see, any car in this car park, could be a lead, could be involved in what is going on inside the smash repair shop.
After several hours, Drew left those premises where he was driven back to the airport. Again, we had surveillance on him.
When Drew gets to the airport, he checks in. He checks the bag in too.
The bag was obviously bulkier and heavier.
Drew boards the flight to the Gold Coast. Unaware, police have been watching him the entire day.
After he checked his carry bag and gone to the boarding gate, we attended and actually seized his luggage.
Police now have Drew Baggaley's luggage. Drew is already miles high, thinking his bag is in the cargo hold. Police are about to search Drew's luggage without him even knowing.
Okay, I have reasonable cause to believe that this bag contains prohibited drugs. That therefore gives me the power to search this bag.
And this is straight from the police files.
In the bag is a backpack, black with brown camouflage. And in that is a box wearing gloves, and no other person has touched the contents of the bag except for myself.
Could this be what police had hoped for? At Sydney Airport, police have just seized a bag from a flight to the Gold Coast. It belongs to Drew Baggaley, and Drew is the younger brother of two-time Olympian and world champion kayaker Nathan Baggaley. And right now, Drew is in transit, in a plane bound for the Gold Coast. He has no idea police are searching his bag.
You didn't open it.
Is it what detectives suspected?
Take the best I can. Okay, what we've now got?
You bet.
Yellowish tablets.
5,429 ecstasy pills. Purchased in Sydney, destined to be sold on the streets of the Gold Coast for $30 each. The street value of those 3 bags is more than $160,000. And there's still another box to come.
We had another box. Again, I'll do my best to preserve that.
What's in the second box is so tightly packed, police struggle to get it out. And here's why. It's staggering. Another $130,000 in ecstasy pills in one bag. It's the mother lode.
Tablets.
The total street value of all the drugs in Drew's bag is close to $300,000.
This seizure showed us that it was actually large commercial quantities that they were dealing in.
And that could carry a maximum penalty of 25 years jail. It's 9 p.m. and Drew arrives on the Gold Coast and soon realises the bag is missing. Drew makes some frantic phone calls. Drew leaves the airport. Surely he suspects something is up.
Several people did suggest to him that the police may be involved, but he tended not to heed that advice and they just kept going.
Detectives are about to make one of the hardest decisions they face when it comes to drug operations. They could arrest Drew right now, but if they do, they'll never know the full extent of the Baggaley brothers' drug dealing. And they don't have enough evidence to arrest Nathan as well. So police bide their time. They allow Nathan and Drew to continue to deal drugs. They have to look at the bigger picture, and that means gaining enough evidence to bring down both drug lords.
It's frustrating for detectives. Nathan is back training, and Drew is spending much of his time at an oyster lease in northern New South Wales, a short drive from the Queensland border. It's the family business where they farm oysters, and the Baggleys have owned it for more than 9 years. Drew is here regularly. This is actual police footage of Drew's black four-wheel drive.
Traversing down towards the main area.
It's late October, more than 4 months into the strike force, and police suspect this secluded property where Drew works is also the location for Drew's drug deals.
This is driving along.
Detectives watch everyone who comes and goes from the oyster lease and who meet with Drew, but they need proof, and they decide to pull over one of the drivers as he leaves.
Stand by, guys. We've got the target vehicle just entering.
They find drugs, and the markings on those pills,
Maltese cross stamp on them,
will give detectives a massive breakthrough into the dealings of the Ecstasy brothers. Police are investigating Drew and Nathan Baggaley and have just pulled over a driver spotted talking to Drew earlier. They find ecstasy pills.
green pill with a Maltese cross stamp on them.
That cross is as good as a fingerprint.
All ecstasy pills normally have a unique stamp impressed upon them, whether it be Chanel logo, Louis Vuitton, bull's horns. The markings on the pills were a Maltese cross.
And that will be part of the crucial evidence later in the investigation. Police have confirmed Drew is supplying drugs, but they suspect it's Nathan making the pills.
Suspicion is one thing, but police need proof. And so far, detectives have evidence against Drew, but nothing on Nathan. But their patience is about to be rewarded. What happens in the next 24 hours is a turning point in the investigation. Remember, police are still tapping the Baggaley brothers' phones, and one of those taps reveals that Nathan is about to do a drug deal himself.
We received some information that a person called Billa and Nathan Baggaley were going to do a drugs transaction. We were particularly interested because we hadn't had footage of Nathan doing actual transactions himself to this point.
It's recording, mate.
It's the 16th of November, 5 months into the strike force, and you are about to witness the crucial evidence police long for on the Olympian Nathan Baggaley. The man crossing the road, his name's Billa. He's a footy mate of Drew Baggaley, and in his hands is a towel. He's about to buy drugs from Nathan Baggaley.
Boss. Yeah, mate, we've just got him outside. Shaker's got eye, and we've got eye on the camera as well.
Billa gave Nathan something wrapped in a towel, which was money. Nathan appeared to look at it, and then he put it in the back of his motorbike and drove off.
Nathan takes the cash out of the towel Billa gave him. He puts the drugs in and gives the towel back to Billa, the drug buyer. And a couple of hours later, police swoop and arrest the buyer, Billa.
Billa was stopped on his way down to Ballina. Vehicle was searched by the Highway Patrol.
All right, we've got both people out of the vehicle.
They found the original towel that had been handed to Nathan, and obviously the tablets, and again they were stamped with the Maltese cross.
Yes, that same Maltese cross that police have seen on ecstasy from other Baggaley drug deals. Police now have evidence on both Nathan and Drew. The next day, the Baggaley brothers discover their buyer, Billa, has been arrested.
Yeah, he's got Drew with his white shirt, Nathan's up there, he's got a pair of shorts on, no shirt on. You could quite clearly see they were worried about something. And which the obvious conclusion was they were talking about Billa's arrest. Yeah, stood at the front talking. They seemed to be fairly concerned about something.
The arrest has made the brothers anxious, and at any time, they could work out that police may be onto them. Police are still watching as Drew gets a text.
Yeah, he's got Drew looking at his phone, it's a text message or whatever. So he might be sending a text message.
Could this be another buyer?
Yeah, Drew's looking through his phone again.
So when Drew leaves Nathan's, police follow.
Okay, they're separating now. Okay, Nathan's back in the shed and Drew's going back into his vehicle. Okay, Drew's reversing out.
Yeah, I've got eyeball on him approaching Bayshore Drive. Yeah, Dom. See if there's a meeting takes place there, and if so, we'll bring the other vehicle north.
Detectives are still filming, following Drew to a nearby rest stop.
Go left, go left.
Police can see the car park.
I'd actually gone into the bushes to try and get some video footage.
But does that mean police can be seen as well?
Right there.
Short time later, another vehicle arrives, meet up with Drew.
As a precaution, he moved a short distance away with Drew Baggaley. They both drove to a location nearby, and the transaction has taken place then.
Moments later, the buyer is arrested.
That vehicle stopped, and that person was found in possession of 10,000 ecstasy tablets.
It is even more damning evidence, and police are closing in on Drew and Nathan. Police are now racing against the clock. They have to arrest Nathan before he flies overseas to compete in a kayaking tournament. And unbelievably, there is another massive reason looming to shut the pair down. Phone taps on mobile conversations between the brothers reveal the pair are planning to flood Schoolies Week with ecstasy pills.
It seems these days it's not uncommon for people like the Baggleys and younger men in particular to see not a great deal wrong in selling ecstasy to these kids, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. I think it's a disgrace.
Police must arrest the Baggaley brothers before the ecstasy makes it to the streets of the Gold Coast and Byron and into the mouths of teenage school leaders. Detectives also have to arrest both brothers at the same time.
Held a briefing at Tweed Heads Police Station. Probably had about 60 to 80 police there. We were executing 10 search warrants, probably about half a dozen of those simultaneously.
Almost 6 months after the police strike force was set up, it has just entered its final stage. Police swoop on Drew at the family oyster lease in Brunswick Heads and begin searching his belongings.
It says Billa, $7,800, JC, $3,000.
There is a very large bundle of 50s and other notes in there.
It's not long before they find evidence. Bundle after bundle of drug-dealing cash. More than 62,000 bucks. Drew knows that he's busted. And at the same time, his famous brother has been arrested too.
Well, you'll now be conveyed to the Byron Bay Police Station to be booked into custody.
Nathan Baggaley, the Olympic hero, is arrested at his girlfriend's home and taken to the Byron Bay Police Station to be formally charged.
Is this your mobile phone? You don't want to use it?
Yeah, no, people have borrowed it, but it's my primary phone, but yeah, people do use it.
Nathan is told police are searching his house.
Food saver vacuum packaging system with bags.
So far they've found cash, and in Nathan's bedroom, multiple mobile phones. But what's behind that chipboard will prove Nathan Baggaley, the kayaking hero, was the one making the dangerous pill. Nathan Baggaley, a former Olympic kayaker, has just been arrested by police. Other officers are searching his house and have just found the proof they were looking for.
There's a wooden trolley with wheels. On the trolley is a single station tablet press.
That is a pill press. It's used for making ecstasy. The powder goes in, it's pressed into a tablet, and ecstasy comes out. The press weighs 125 kilos and can produce 60 tablets a minute. That's $2,000 worth every 60 seconds. It's the same pill press that made the drugs that Drew sold to a man at the oyster lease, and Nathan sold to the buyer, Billa. And it has that distinctive Maltese cross. Police now have all the evidence for the case against the Baggaley brothers.
Former Olympic champion Nathan Baggaley will spend Christmas behind bars. The 31-year-old has been remanded in custody on drug charges. It's alleged he was set to supply schoolies in northern New South Wales and the Gold Coast.
Nathan Baggaley was sentenced to 9 years jail for manufacturing not less than 1,500 ecstasy pills and supplying a commercial quantity. Drew Baggaley was sentenced to 12 years jail for manufacturing a large commercial quantity and supplying $1.3 million worth of ecstasy. Remember when Drew was at the Sydney smash repair? That's him in the black cap. In that quick snippet of police footage were vital clues to those who were providing the drugs to Drew Baggaley.
Both walking over towards the panel beaters.
Blink and you'd miss it. But police follow up on a car and a suspect at the scene at the same time as Drew. It's now 12 months later, December 2008, and police managed to smuggle a hidden camera inside the smash repair. This is the actual footage from that tiny lens. The man from the car park? His name is Asim Kajaklia. He's in the leather jacket on the left. He's the man that sourced the $300,000 worth of drugs for Drew Baggaley 1 year earlier. The man on the right, in yellow, is Sargon Zaya. Asim is about to sell 5,000 ecstasy pills for $50,000. Sargon Zaya leaves with the money, but doesn't get very far.
Down the ground! Down the ground! Down the ground! Yeah!
Asim Kajaklia's days as a drug supplier are over. His days as an inmate are about to begin. As for Sargon Zaya,
like I told the other officer before, I was just here to pick up the money. I do not supply drugs.
Asim Kajaklia was sentenced to 10 years, 6 months jail for supplying the drugs. Sargon Zaya was jailed for 3 years and 10 months for his part in the drug deal.